My name is Siti Alisa binti Faizal and my matrix number is 2024671464.
My name is Nur Amalina Balkis binti Aminuddin and my matrix number is 2024800626.
Hi, my name is Sarah Nadia binti Smadar and my matrix number is 2024205528.
To answer this question, we first have to know what is democracy. Democracy is frequently said to mean rule by the people. It is a government system where citizens have the right to elect representatives to parliament and has the freedom to speak out their voice. So, why is democracy important? Democracy is important because it upholds fundamental rights, strengthens stability and prosperity. This promotes a more just and equal society by allowing citizens to vote and hold elected officials responsible. Now let's look at democracy in Malaysia. Malaysia is one of the countries that practices parliamentary democracy with constitutional monarchy with Yang di-Pertuan Agong as the head of the state, while the head of government is the Prime Minister. The way it is practiced is every 5 years, members of the House of Representatives are chosen by the citizens in a general election. The House of Representatives consists of 222 elected members. Each of the 222 elected members of the House of Representatives represents a parliamentary constituency. But is democracy the best system for protecting human rights? Why do some democracies struggle with issues like inequality, discrimination, or political repression? Let's find out.
First, we're going to see the relationship between democracy and human rights. First, democracy encourages people participants by allowing citizens to express their choices, criticism, and giving opinions by electing the leaders they believe are best suited to govern the country. This ensures that their views are being heard and taken seriously in country's development. Second, democracy protects fundamental rights as both involve citizens to voice out their personal opinions and participating in shaping the direction of the government. Democracy allows citizens to speak, vote, assemble, associate, and participate in decision-making freely without fear. Lastly, democracy promotes accountability through free and fair voting system, where citizens can elect their own leader that are trustable to uphold their rights and safety. Democracy also makes sure the accountability and transparency of leaders that are free from corruption. Next, we're going to see the human rights in Malaysia. First is freedom of speech. These rights mean anyone can say anything they want as long as it's not harm others. This has been stated in Article 10 of the Federal Constitution. However, the Parliament can restrict these rights to protect the national security. One of the examples is during the racial riots that happened on 13 May 1969. The next is freedom of assembly and association. This right explains about the freedom to assemble and calmly gather as long as it is done in peaceful ways and non-violent manners without weapons. This freedom enables people to raise awareness, show solidarity, and advocate for change regarding various social, political, and economic issues. One of the examples that shows the freedom to assembly is Bersih rallies that took place in 2015, where people gathered around Kuala Lumpur demand for a clean election and better government. The question is democracy the best system for protecting human rights? As we know, in democracy country, the citizens are given the right and opportunity to speak out their minds, choose their own leader, and voice their concern about government without fear. Moreover, democracy also practices check and balance system through the separation of power, where they help to stop one group from having too much power or absolute power to make sure the decisions are made wisely and provide ways to deal with wrong or unfair action. Lastly, democracy can be considered as the best system for protecting human rights as they uphold the principle that all human beings are entitled to the fundamental rights, including the right to free expression, the right to assemble and associate, and the right to practice one religious faith and much more. So, democracy indeed the best system for protecting human rights.
Let's dive into issues in democracy. First, we have economic inequality, which is the gap between the rich and the poor. The poor has very limited access to any opportunities. For example, the rich can afford a good and higher education to get labels as educated person and easy for them to get recognized. Meanwhile, the poor often struggle to get their voices heard and prioritized. This lead to a violation towards democracy fairness, which is the rich stay rich and the poor stay poor. For the second issue, we have corruption and inefficiency. Corruption refers to abuse of entrusted power or resources by elected officials or civil servants for private gain. There are various forms of corruption that happen in democracy, such as offering or receiving something of value to influence decision or vote buying. And for efficiency, it refers to an ability to deliver public services or make decisions in a timely and effective manner. Because there's always bureaucratic red tape, which is numerous unnecessary process, and as a result, it will lead to a slow delivery process. Next, we have discrimination and political repression. Discrimination happen in many terms, for example, when certain ethnic feel frustrated with their unequal rights and experience of citizenship, such as when they didn't get as much as Guru Putra got, so they were questioning about their rights and discrimination. Last but not least, political repression refers to activities that authority made to restrict and suppress political dissent, criticism, and opposition. This involves citizens' rights such as equal participation, freedom of speech, and fair elections. Now let's move on to our case study. Barisan Nasional or BN has won every general election since Malaysia's independence in 1957. One of their most significant victories was in general election 2004, where they won 198 out of 219 seats in parliament. It was the highest level of dominance ever achieved by a ruling party in Malaysian history. This dominance raised concern about fairness and democratic integrity. At the time, BN controlled most mainstream media, meaning that information reaching the public was largely in their favor. This limited opposition voices and free access to balanced information, which is essential in democracy. Additionally, there were reports that some civil servants felt pressure to support BN. They feared that if they didn't, they might face negative consequences in their careers. This kind of pressure goes against the principle of free political choice. Even more concerning was the way institutions like judiciary, parliament, security forces, and civil services were seen to be aligned with BN. This blurred the line between the government and the ruling party, weakening the system of checks and balances that a healthy democracy needs. Overall, this case shows how unfair the election process was at the time, and how it indirectly violated democratic principles and human rights.
In conclusion, democracy is the best system for protecting human rights. This is because democratic system creates a safe environment where people's rights can be respected and fulfilled. For example, the citizens have the right to vote and have their voices heard by the government. On the other hand, the government also faces issues where some democracy struggles with issues like inequality, discrimination, and political repression. Most of these issues stem from a wide economic gap, racial prejudice, sexism, corruption, and many more.